For another edition of On the Hill Media. I'm Fosie Weston, and today my guest is Mrs. Loretta Gaffney, the candidate for State Delegate in District 13. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you, and thank you for having me.
No problem. Can you first tell us a little bit about yourself?
Certainly. I'm a fourth-generation Howard Countyan, a Howard Community College and University of Maryland, Baltimore County alumnus. I have board service. I have served in the U.S. Army National Guard and am honorably discharged. I have worked in the legislature for a fiscal conservative delegate. I have worked for a Fortune 500 company and am now the managing member of a small business in which we do affordable housing.
Okay, so what is it that you want to bring to District 13 and to the General Assembly down in Annapolis?
I would like to bring faith, freedom, and fiscal integrity. Faith in the sense of the American values, especially the core value of personal responsibility. Freedom and remembering our constitutional rights that are guaranteed us and they're being eroded. And fiscal integrity in terms of the budget and the spending and the overtaxation.
Okay, so if elected, what would you consider basically a success for you after the 4 years in turn?
A success for me would be restructuring the way the budget process is conducted in Maryland. Over 100 years ago, there was a spending affordability committee put in place to help prevent overspending, and it's not working. So not only do we have to look at overspending, but we have to look at the very process, because that is broken as well.
Okay, Mrs. Gaffney.
Yes.
And right now we're going to talk about economy for a second.
Okay.
In the next legislative year, we have to potentially have to make $1 billion in budget cuts. What do you think we need to do to make that successful?
Well, first of all, we need to actually acknowledge that we need to have it. The incumbents right now are saying that the budget is balanced and there's nothing wrong. Before you can fix a problem, you have to acknowledge that you have one. Then we have to be smart about what we're going to do. That means we probably need to do some restructuring, which would include removing inefficiencies and doing things more efficiently and delivering the services. Businesses. We have to make sure that we're not harming the businesses in our economy and placing too much of a burden on them, as well as middle families who are working. They are stretched to the limits. So in fixing all of these things, that is important. I would also say that we have to have a solution for the retirement debacle that we have going on. Right now, that is the single piece that is really costing and is outstripping everything else. The way it was funded and the way it's written, the returns on the money that's invested is not coming in the way that it should. The incumbents had an opportunity to begin to fix that last session and they did not. We can no longer ignore this. That can is being kicked down the road. It's not fair to the state employees who are going to have to be furloughed. And neither is it fair to consider kicking that responsibility back to the counties. They can't handle it either. We need real solutions right now.
Okay, and of course, one of the solutions that we need to figure out is how to boost job creations. What are your ideas on that?
Well, with job creation, one of the things we have to acknowledge is that small businesses are the engine of our country. They are the ones who create the businesses. So we have to untie their hands, so to speak. Right now, the way the regulations are in place, they are overburdening the small businesses. I don't know if people are aware, but in the federal health care bill that was passed, there is something in there that stipulates small businesses or all businesses that complete transactions that in excess of $600 to a vendor must do a 1099. That is a mountain of paperwork. That's not the kind of jobs that are going to help stimulate this economy. Those are the kinds of things that are going to further hamstring and impede our process to progress. So we need to get those things out of the way. I would also say we need to stop growing government. The government is great in what they do on a small level, which is first should be to protect the people. But you know, when government gets too big, it doesn't do anything very well. We have to stop this now. The unemployment tax, new businesses in January of this year just got new notices. You're going to have to pay more. We cannot, as small businesses, we cannot continue to do this.
Right.
So let's take the lid off, take the pressure off of small businesses, and let them do what they do best.
Okay, let's talk about the environment quickly. America is going green. We have that initiative coming down from Washington. What are your ideas against some of your local constituents to follow that same initiative?
Well, Howard County is still very rural.
Yeah.
And so we have lots of farmland. I think that's a place where we can start. And we can start by not overburdening our farmers with too much regulation, but at the same time, allow them to do the things that they do best, which is grow our crops. Perhaps we could use more friendlier types of fertilizer. And perhaps we can help them and mitigate some of the, if you will, mitigate some of the cost involved,
Right.
as in pulling back some of that runoff, or helping them get it done instead of just blaming them.
Right.
For all of our citizens, everybody can use products that are more environmentally friendly. If everybody did that in of itself, that would be great. Just think if everyone washed their clothes in cold water as opposed to hot water. There will be less gases emitted into the air and everything else. So there are just so many things that we can do. We can just think locally and act globally.
Okay, on the subject of education, we know that we have schools in Maryland that rank high in the nation when it comes to our education values. But when it comes down to some of the lower schools, we have a problem. What do we need to do to fix this problem that we have of the two disparities?
Well, first, I think we need to take a look at the curriculum. We are seeing way too many students, first we have to take a look at the curriculum. We're seeing far too many students not be accepted into college, not be accepted into community college, or when they get to those places, they have to take remedial courses. To me, that signals that we are not preparing our students properly.
Right.
And instead of focusing on just the ones that are doing great, let's bring everybody up to that level. Let's make sure everybody's there. And let's stop finger pointing and just go in and clean house the way that we need to. I think we need to make sure that those dollars are getting into the classrooms and are not being spent on the administrations. I think it's great to have buildings, but teachers teach students, not dollars.
Right. We've seen government run the way it is, and we know the functions of government. What are your ideas on how government should run?
Our government should run with greater transparency. The budget should be available online, and you should be able to view it in real time. I believe there needs to be greater accountability, not only financially, but in terms of how bills are passed. Just last session, there was a tech bill. And it's not that the bill got passed, but it was how it got passed. And in the end, it had to be repealed anyway because it was another business crusher. There needs to be a way to provide the citizenry the ability to see the votes within the committees, to see and know what the bills are about before the vote is actually taken, so that there can be some genuine input from the constituency. Additionally, when it comes to the actual budget, there needs to be greater transparency. How about if we don't pass any bills where we have not identified a funding stream?
Right.
That in of itself would help us with our budgetary process. And it would bring greater clarity in the beginning, as opposed to having to view swaps and switches of this fund and that fund and putting it back and what's not done.
Right.
Those things are unacceptable. And we deserve better. I love this country. I love our state. I love this county. Howard County, Maryland is our future, and we deserve better. I'm running so that I can bring freedom, fiscal responsibility, and integrity. We have to have faith in the values that our forefathers taught us and left us. It's not broken. We need to go back there. We need to have fiscal responsibility. Not just folks who are telling us nice things and telling us what we want to hear, but people who will stand up and tell us the truth, the tough, hard things to hear. And I believe based on that, we can be realist and move in the right direction, as opposed to always trying to put out the crisis after it happens.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would offer that with everything that is going on around us, yes, we're not doing that bad right now. But the proverbial house is on fire. And as opposed to rearranging the decor at the windows or seeing if the carpet is straight within this burning house, I'm running to go and put the fire out. Thank you, and thank you for your time.
Well, Mrs. Gaffney, it's been a pleasure.
Oh, mine.
Now, for more information about Mrs. Gaffney, please visit her website at lorettagaffney.com, and for all other information, please visit our website onthehillmedia.com.